You're already you're already good. So to start out, to recap, we last talked about your initial problem was looking for someone to do social media posts, and then we kind of dug underneath that and said, what is the real driving purpose of social media posts? And we kind of got to a point where you can have social media posts, but simply as a vanity metric for having them is different than driving business. And if you want to drive business, there's a better way to do it.
Right.
So I have built, let me share it with you. I have built a complete funnel that I'm going to walk you through and kind of get your feedback on. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it, but a bunch of different ways that you can reach your clients and how they connect to each other. So first part is we just call this a sales funnel, and it's got some automation components along the way. But most of the point of this is to kind of give you an idea of like, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't want to do that over and over manually. I want something that is going to be out there thinking about me.
Yeah.
So I'll zoom into the first part that we actually talked about, which was just your blog post. You were saying, well, I'd be interested in putting out a monthly blog post. So right here is your blog articles, and you could put those out into the world, and you could tell Facebook to share those with anybody that visits your website through automation. As soon as you put out a blog article, Facebook would pick it up and turn it into a blog article, and people who visit your website would see it again on Facebook. And then the next time you publish a blog article, it becomes 2, and you'd cascade them out to a certain number. So if they last longer and it's not like urgent for this month, then we probably say show them in rotation across the top 6. But if you put out stuff that's like only good for this month, we'd probably have to narrow down which ones we want out there circulating. But once you have these blog articles, you can do a lot of other things with them. And then I started thinking, every time I talk to a customer and they're having some type of QuickBooks or accounting related issue, I always think of you and say, well, she's not going to know right offhand what she can or can't do until she kind of does an audit. And I came up with that term. I don't know what you call it, but in my mind, I picture I have a problem. I don't quite know what it is, but I know it's inside of my accounting software and I need to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go and say, okay, yeah, I need that. So the idea was that people that go to your blog articles, and you'll notice along the way, like it says like a yes or no and a 3% yes, 97% no. I'm just playing with numbers that I've made up. So at any time we can change these numbers. But the thought process would be that along the way, somebody reads a blog article and 3 people out of 100 say, you know what, I'm going to go read that blog article. At the bottom of the blog article on your website will always have a call to action to say, schedule your audit. And then they could actually get booked into your Calendly page and pick a time where you can go over their stuff or talk to them first, whatever your product sales cycle looks like. You can say, let's schedule an audit for you. And then I started thinking, well, wait, you could do a lot with an audit page. And so I was thinking, well, wait a minute. She originally said she had QuickBooks people. And I was like, how can we talk to them? You mentioned something about nurturing QuickBooks people. And I was like, oh, well, let's think about that. So you've got QuickBooks people, and you said you had 100 people, I think, in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what if even 4 of those people engaged with some type of email campaign that you sent out? And again, you can send out that same blog post. So I've got an arrow that probably goes down here. It doesn't go, but it should go. People who read your blog posts could also start getting your email newsletter, which in turn, I'm saying that wrong. People who get your email newsletter would in turn be just reusing that blog post. So you don't have to come up with separate content to send them through email. You'd send them that blog post in that monthly format. And it's just talking about things that you're engaged with, things that you're excited with, problems that you can help people avoid. Most of the time, the evergreen newsletter is what I call it, this part right here. This is important because you don't have to keep coming up with new content. If it's how to save time by cash accrual methods in QuickBooks, that's always will be the case. There won't be a time where that's not relevant. So when the next person gets added to QuickBooks, now they get that email newsletter automatically. You don't have to go, shoot, I got to come up with something new because I got a new person in my QuickBooks account. Okay. This just grows. So I've represented these 2 envelopes as a single envelope, but in reality, this evergreen newsletter is how many ever pieces of content you come up with over time. So things that would go inside of the newsletter are things that aren't aren't related to a holiday or anything like that. They're just topical things that bookkeepers or business consultants, depending on what your focus is, would talk about.
Okay.
And then I thought, she mentioned she wants to talk to her current clients and let them know, hey, I have other services. You may not have, maybe you started with me in 2010 and I just managed your accounts payable or something simple. And they don't know that you have this full service of things. So the services drip is a second, again, it drips out to anybody that you have inside of your QuickBooks and tells them over a series of 4 or 5 emails, here's the 5 different things we offer and here's the benefits and here's how you get plugged in.
Yeah.
And so I have a 1-day delay just to give you an idea that we would drip them out over time to your customers. And at a certain point, it would end because you only have, I'm just going to make up, you have 5 services you want to talk about.
Right.
And then at the end of the 5 services, that wouldn't go out to them anymore. But as soon as you sign a new client, we say, hey, after X number of days of being a new customer, let's start to introduce them to our other services. And we could figure out, what does that look like?
And you have a system that, so like say I add a new client in QuickBooks, how does it get to this service drip? And you'll probably tell me, but.
Sure. The actual service is called Zapier. And as long as the customer is using QuickBooks Online, which is already connected, it will move that over automatically. So you'll say every time a new customer is created in QuickBooks, send them into my email drip campaign. And it automates it for you. And the timing all happens there. If for some reason a customer, though, is quick, I just picked QuickBooks because I knew I could do it from QuickBooks Online. But if you had an Excel sheet that you kept track of, like a Google sheet, I can pull it right off a Google sheet. You could say Jason Pulliam and the date and my email, and I could suck it off of that automatically. So another thing is as soon as you get an email, because we're going to talk a little bit about that, they'll automatically start winding up into your different email drips too. Because as soon as we have a way to grab an email, we want to start talking to them, engage with them, because they are at some point going to need you. If they need a bookkeeper, they don't run out of needing bookkeeping.
Right.
So we want to engage with them however long that journey is.
Okay.
So up here at the QuickBooks, and I kind of tried to keep these level. So pretend that there's a line here. This is kind of its own separate funnel, the QuickBooks current customer funnel. So we send them the evergreen newsletters over periods of time. That keeps you top of mind too. So if somebody has a referral, they're like, oh yeah, here, and they just forward the last email they got from you. Just another easy way that they can utilize you. Payroll services page, I made up. It's really like a monthly services page. But the idea is, depending on what's inside your services drip or your evergreen newsletter, somebody's going to click that and say, yeah, I want to go find out more about her services. And they would come over here and read more about, my example was payroll, but if it was accounts receivable or accounts payable services that you provide, they would go to the appropriate page and start to read about it. And I guess that 3% of those people would convert and actually turn into a paying customer. And I made up these 2 prices here, but I wanted the concept to be there. So I just said at some point in time, your existing customers will wind up at a 3% rate, turning into additional paying clients.
Yeah.
And so finally, the last part is just the payment page. So you get the idea that they paid you ongoing.
Okay.
The next part is cold leads, looking for people on the internet to grow your actual audience. Because right now, the QuickBooks is warm audience you already have. Blog articles is people that have at least visited your website, but nobody is straight off the street, never heard of Deitz Consulting. So that's what this third metric is right here. So numbers 2, 3, and then 2 on the remarketing. These are all ads that are running. I put my first shot would be general contractor Facebook targeted ads. So you know a lot about the bookkeeping of general contractors. So I was like, we could really speak to their needs and their pain points in ads saying, hey, are you trying to do your QuickBooks on the weekends when you're not putting a roof up? Are you frustrated with trying to figure out how many nails you have in inventory? Whatever the things are that you see, you're going to be able to speak to that. And that general contractor is going to be like, that's me.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're putting it out there and you're just saying, hey, are you a business owner? Sure. Everybody's a business owner. I mean, Addison has an Etsy store. She's 12. Like, it's not exactly a very niche audience. So with this focus, you can say, hey, come to our free audit sign up page and go ahead and fill out your information, and then we'll contact you. So I put Facebook targeted at general contractors. I put your website here, saying that people would come to your website just naturally, but not very many. I think I put 500 visitors from Facebook is what that number really is. And you have a few that would come from your page organically, but you don't have a lot.
Yeah.
And then this third one is remarketing, saying that Google display remarketing is going to bring you back 26 out of every 100 people who came from Facebook or they came from your website organically. So we're just trying to feed all of these different people in. But your offer is this audit, which I came up with. If you have other ideas of things you think would be more beneficial.
But definitely, like, I just actually got off the phone with this lady, and I spent 30 minutes with her. Yeah.
Right.
Free account review or free consultation. Yeah.
Yeah, something that lets them know that you're going to actually be able to look in and see something versus, yeah, we can take care of it. They want to know that you know a little bit more than just yes.
Right.
So from there, they're either coming from Facebook to this account review page. They're coming from some other source where they just happen to stumble across you because they read one of your blog articles because a friend forwarded it to them. But primarily, they're coming from this cold audience from Facebook that we're making up. I'm putting 10% of those people. So if it's 500 people, actually, these are the numbers, by the way, 515 people total, I'm saying, are coming for the month. And of those, 51 people, which is 10%, actually fill out the free account review. How many of those people will actually go from there and do an actual calendar booking? So I said 10% will come to your calendar, and then they'll say, I don't know if I actually want to go through with this. So then I cut it down. So of those 50 people, I said 13 would actually go all the way through and book onto your calendar. So the ones that filled out this, like, yeah, I want to do an account review, and then they go, I don't know about that, and they go to this next page and change their mind. It's okay. I got their email. I'm going to start sending them a drip of what to expect when you work with a bookkeeper, things to look out for. I made up another one called 5 QuickBooks Mistakes to Avoid. Things that are providing value to the customer while at the same time proving you are an authority on bookkeeping.
Yeah.
That's the key. And these can represent a single email or these can represent a series of emails. But the concept is we got their email. We're going to start talking to them.
Okay.
So the calendar booking, we say 25% of those people go on and actually have we'll change this so it doesn't say audit review, free account review call. And then the 75% of the people who did not book fall right back into this remarketing campaign. So when we talk about remarketing, boom, we've got them, we've tagged them, we figured out who they are. And especially because we have their email, we don't have to follow the same rules that Facebook has now implemented where we can only follow them around for a certain amount of time. I have their email, so I can follow them based on that, which makes a huge difference. Do what?
Forever. We're going to follow them forever.
Forever. We will wear them down, Phyllis, until they're just tired of bookkeeping. The free account review also goes into another remarketing campaign, and it talks about 5 things to change in your QuickBooks today. I was trying to think of, again, other things, because I don't want to keep saying, once they do the free account review, I don't want to remarket to them and say, let's do another free account review. They filled out the form. I don't want them to ever see that form again. But I do want them to see, hey, this is 5 things that you might want to change, and they could see that. Especially if they're this 90% that did not fill out the form. I still don't have their email yet. So I'm trying to figure out some other way. Maybe asking to do the account reviews seem like they're not ready to commit. They don't know who you are. They're not going to do it. So what if we gave them an actual PDF guide of where to go into QuickBooks and how to change some critical pieces that make QuickBooks work better, or how to lock in a report? Like, you set up a reports for me. Those are helpful because now I just go click that. And then, of course, the 1% of those people who actually downloaded that book, they might book into your calendar. But the 99 other percent, again, they go back into remarketing, and we continue to show them ads until they're ready to talk to you.
Okay. And you helped me develop all these 5 things to change.
Yeah, and the beauty of the sales funnel development is you can build out each of these funnels at a different time because they're not dependent upon each other. They just get better as you connect them.
Okay.
So like if you just started now and said, well, I just want to build something for my QuickBooks, you can build these and not have to build any of this other stuff. Or you can say, I only want to build out the free audit review I don't want to spend the time on the building out a funnel for the 5 things to change in QuickBooks. You can kind of choose. And yes, we orchestrate all of the copywriting for you. We put you together with somebody and they basically kind of interview you and ask you like, what are the 3 main pain points of a customer who's trying to do their own books? Okay. What do they think about at night? What keeps them up? What are the 3 things they're really looking for? And when they dig in that deep with your customers and their problems, they can turn around and create good copy for your emails. The last part of the journey is the free account review. I'm saying Phyllis is awesome. She's going to close them at 70%. Made it up. 13 people, 9 of them end up converting.
What are you talking about?
But again, all of these numbers can be changed if you ever go, I don't want to do that. Finally, of those 70%, 72% of them end up going with your 175 package, 17% go with your 450 package, 11% go with your 1250 package. And that turns into 7 customers a month for a total of about $1,500 a month in new recurring revenue. And again, these are just all made up numbers as best, I can only guess because you don't have a current sales funnel. So that's the number one thing people say is like, what is it going to cost me to get a client? If you don't already have a sales funnel, you don't know that number and we have to build it, develop it, and learn it.
Right.
And so through all of this, we can come and keep clicking. This particular thing lets me simulate like, okay, if I had this many people, what would be my cost? So it says, okay, I'm going to make $1,500 a month. Here's the different products that I sell. You can see the corporate run, because we didn't have enough traffic, doesn't even trigger. We couldn't get that 11% didn't happen because I didn't have enough people through the funnel to even hit.
We saved him $40,000 because he wasn't having to pay someone such a high salary, payroll taxes, like all of that. And so he's the type of client, he has 5 or 6 businesses and we service all of his businesses. And we can take care of it for, half of what he was paying a full-time accountant. Okay.
And that's really the fractional CMO concept too, of what do you need somebody 40 hours a week for? And then over here under traffic sources, we put the number of visitors. So this is not dollars, but unique visitors. So 60 people from Google, 85 from Facebook, 504 actually from the Facebook direct marketing. Okay. So 649 visitors is what we were estimating. Some of the costs are fixed costs because once you write an email drip campaign, you're done. You own it. It's like a tool in your woodshed that you go and save forever and ever. So there's a difference between an ongoing, because if you have graphics created, you might toss those out in 3 months because they're not working and get some new ones. But on emails, they're fixed. So you're not having a monthly recurring email cost. And then we can figure out, what does it cost us to get a lead? What does it cost us to actually acquire a client? How much money do we make? And of course, I'm just simulating it. So I keep just pushing the button and saying a net profit of $946 because I set everything really low. But the idea is this bigger concept of there's all of these things that you can do to grow your business long term.
Right.
And you can start as small as you want by saying any one of these segments of the market I want to go after. This is the focus that I want to do. So that first one is really your customer base that you have now, talking to them and getting them to upgrade. The next process is account review sales funnel and how big do you want to make it? So you could skip this 5 things to change funnel because that's an extra step, an extra web page, an extra email drip that you have to create. And you could go strictly with.
I like the email drip campaigns. I understand the differences. I do want to do the blog post. So that's email and blog posts, but not social media. So is this you telling me I don't need to do social media?
Social media will be easy because all we're doing is pushing out your blog article each month to social media.
Okay.
So all of the heavy lifting is sitting down, figuring out what we're going to talk about, recording it, sending it to the editor, having it turned into a nice video/blog post. And then when that content is all created, once it's a blog post, then you shoot out an email and it's just a copy of a blog post. Like you're done. So the email part is pretty simple. The social media part is pretty simple. Okay. It's really creating the content that takes a majority of the time, effort. And, obviously there's technical pieces to putting that together.
Right.
So now that you can see how it all ties in, you can say, yeah, I want to start this part now. I want to think about how to integrate these other pieces later. But at least you have a roadmap for, if I want to continue to do this, what is my path forward?
Yeah, we can send that to you each month. Like, you know, so, hey, we want to highlight this community, like maybe do one community post a month or something.
Yeah. And what we do with that is we actually, on your behalf, we have a team that we bring in, and they are hourly contractors that act on your behalf. So when you say, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that, we figure out together, what do you want to do on a consistent basis? And I can help you gauge, like, what will it cost and who will you need on your staff? Right. So if you're saying, hey, I'm just going to provide the pictures and I just need somebody to post them and I need someone to turn them into emails, it'll be different than if you say, I need a graphics editor who can make me a graphic and then give that to the email designer. And, you know, depending on your process, you can categorize those on your website under blog posts of community, QuickBooks tips. So they can go as content, because remember, every time you put content onto your website, Google soaks it in. So if they see a lot of, like, every time you introduce a new member and you say they're QuickBooks certified, that's one more time Google knows that your website is associated with QuickBooks.
Yes.
So it helps your Google organic rankings, because Google has to figure out how many words are on the whole website and what are the most predominant words on the website. That's not the only thing that they look at, but it definitely helps them to figure out. She's constantly talking about bookkeeping, Deitz, because it's in your name, and QuickBooks.
Right.
Just guessing what those three are. But the more times that you can really be the authority on that, the better that customers see it too. Because I'd like to go to your blog and be able to go, oh, she's hired new staff. Oh, okay. Like, I want to know who's behind. Because when you say you're a consulting firm, okay, who's really behind there? I want to know. Let's make a big deal about it. And those just get turned into social media posts. Like, the blog is the heart of your website. And when I say blog, it's just content on your website is the heart. If you put it out just to social media, there's never a way to suck those people back in. You never can go.
Wasting time. Yeah.
We need them to go to the website because we need to be able to track them. We need to engage with them. And social media is interrupting them. So maybe if it's a good interruption, they like it. But otherwise, it's just fodder. It's just posting on social media for the sake of posting on social media.
Right.
So there you have it. Which pieces do you want to focus on first? And then I can make a diagram that represents that and put some time and team around what that would look like for you. And then you could say, okay, that's a monthly cost that I can do.
The free account review and the blog articles, I think, are probably the two I would like to focus on the most. And then once we do those two, I would love to focus on number one.
Sure. And you can build out some of these require software that whether you do one drip email or 100 drip emails, it costs software wise the same.
Right.
So in theory, you could say, hey, after somebody gets added to QuickBooks, can we send them just one automated email and it doesn't tie back to any service pages because you haven't built them yet? You could do that in baby steps to where right out of the gate, after they get signed up with you, or maybe in 6 months, I'm trying to think like what logically would make sense. Maybe 3 months after they get used to working with you, the first service email goes out that says, hey, it's been great working with you the past 3 months. I wanted to let you know of some other services that we do offer our clients as you grow. Yeah. And then that's just touch and base with them. But now it's a single email that Phyllis wrote. We didn't have to hire someone to write a 10 email drip. It's just, hey, now at least we're reminding them 3 months after that, hey, we recognize it's been 3 months. We're happy to still have you on board. And here's what we offer. Then later you go, hey, I want to create a page for payroll. I want to create a page for accounts receivable. You can go and start having more content on your website built out, because that's where your extra costs come from, is building out pages and writing the content. So you don't have to do that whole second part right away. It adds to the benefit, but you don't have there's not a negative to just having an email drip with no web page to link back to. Like, it's still getting in their face and it's still saved. So this is just the more expensive part, building the pages out.
Which I do want to do that. I mean, we have pages there, but we definitely need help with that. I like it. No, it's very clear, and good. I like the mapping so I can understand kind of all the steps that it takes. And it definitely makes it feel more the value of it. So yeah. Well,
the complexity is there, but the beauty of having a fractional CMO at any level allows you to scale at your pace. So if you want to have just a person to help send out emails, that guy might work $25 an hour once a month if you have just one email. So it's $25 for his time. You know, you have my time because I go tell him to do it. But as you need to add things, you really don't have to go and say, oh, I need a graphics person. Where am I going to find that? We'll find the graphics person for you. We'll tell them what you want. Basically, I'm the intermediary. An hour of my time to do the connection, and then maybe an hour of my time to do the email, as long as you provide the content. Because I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff that is one-time setup required only. So I have to do it whether I do one email or two email automations. So certain things I just have to connect. So you could have a one email drip happen 30, 60, 90 days after you add them without any complexity, because the complexity comes from adding extra pages, synchronizing the drip to go with the evergreen newsletter, which is more complex to build. But the services drip, that one part right here, that's the easy one, because we're just going to send out, in theory, one email right now. And you just tell me when you want to send it out. Okay.
I do not want to be the one writing.
Sure. And that is A-OK. And what I was thinking about was there would be a cost for me and you to do it first. So my time at first. But if we can get a pattern down to where I can hand off to someone else who can ask you the questions, a technical person still goes and chops it up into a video that we can use and then turns that into text we can use. So I'm not critical for the part, except in the beginning of figuring out what exactly are we doing? How are we going to get this information out of Phyllis? That's the critical part. But in theory, you don't need a high caliber person to sit there and ask you questions once we figure out what we're doing. The high caliber necessity is at the beginning when we got to, work it out.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.